Hey all, and welcome to Discount Bin, a pack of pals reading, digesting, and arguing over fantasy novels in a weekly podcast format. This week, we are continuing with our book, Best Served Cold by Joe Abercrombie. And per usual, we have our usual friends. We have Rick.
Hey.
And Leonard.
Hello.
Daniel.
Hello.
And Lexi. Hi. All right, Daniel, take it away.
All right. This week is a long one, so we're just going to kick right off. We're doing parts 3, 4, and 5, and I'm just going to jump right into the part 3 chapter summaries. Part 3 is in Sapani. Manza, Shivers, Morvier, and Day reach their city of Sapani. They go to a woman named Shiloh Vitari, who's a torturer. Duke Orso's sons, Ario and Fosgar, are attending a masked ball along with other foreign dignitaries. There will be an after-party at a brothel for Fosgar's birthday. Manza's plan is to bring in a group of fighters disguised as entertainment and kill the sons. They poison Carlot Dan Eider, Prince Ario's favorite mistress, who is planning the after-party. She's also a spy for the Union's head inquisitor. They will only give her the antidote if she helps them get into the after-party, which she does. The first ally they gather is Nakomo Casca, former leader of the Thousand Swords and Manza's mentor. He's now a homeless drunk, begging for his next drink. Manza and Vitari bring him back to where they're staying, sober him up, and bring him in on their plan. Casca and Morvier hate each other. The crew hires various entertainers who are also fighters. One of them is a Northman named Greylock, who has an issue with Shivers. They also hire a band and someone who breathes fire. Casca and Friendly do some bonding. The night of the party, the crew is in place at the brothel. Guests start arriving, and the king and queen of the Union arrive with a sizable guard. Ario and Fosgar arrive in the company of Master Sulphur, a representative from the Bank of Valent and Bach, but he quickly excuses himself. Manza and Vitari wait in the royal chambers, expecting Ario or Fosgar. Instead, the king of the Union arrives. Vitari excuses herself. Manza and the king smoke the husk pipe until he passes out, then Manza goes looking for Orso's sons. Meanwhile, below, Shivers and Greylock are meant to reenact an epic fight, but Greylock uses the opportunity to try and kill Shivers. The brothel has a casino, where Friendly is dealing cards to a group of drunken men. Morvier and Day are in an attic above Manza. They use poison to kill the guards and leave. Manza stumbles out of the room, looking for Ario and Fosgar. She's still high from the husk. She finds Ario in another bedroom. After some foreplay, she stabs him through the neck just as he stabbed her brother. He falls out of a window. Back in the casino, one of the drunken men accuses Friendly of cheating, which he shrugs off. Then the man calls his dice liars. Friendly can't let that pass and splits the man's head with his cleaver. In the main hall, Shivers and Greylock have been fighting to the death. Shivers cuts off Greylock's arm and kills him with a chop to the head. The hall is silent, except some yelling from the casino. Then Ario's naked body falls from above and lands next to Greylock. People recognize Ario and all hell breaks loose. The king's guards start looking for him. Ario's guards start looking for someone to blame. The entertainers start killing guards. The fire breather starts setting people and the brothel on fire, and everyone else panics. Shivers fights his way upstairs where he finds Manza and jumps out a window into the river to escape the burning building. The main crew all makes it out alive. They meet again with Carlot Dan Eider, who is pissed. They tell her she was never actually poisoned. Carlot informs them that she sent a letter to Duke Orso confessing what she did and who she was working with. Orso will know that Manza is alive. We start out with meeting Shiloh Vitari. Lexi, what were your early impressions of her?
I liked her. Like that she was a mom.
Yeah, it was interesting that she has the kids and then she just leaves the kids.
I know.
You gotta go do work, dude.
Yeah, I guess so. I thought it was interesting that each planning phase, or the first two planning phases, that we see at least, are from Friendly's point of view. When they were planning for the bank, and he was listening to Day count the guards on patrol, and then when they were doing the planning in this chapter, he's making the stew, and he's thinking about how he wants to separate every bowl and count the onions and the carrots for each bowl, and I don't know. Friendly's hilarious.
Still the best character.
Leonard, what'd you think of Morvier and Day leaving the brothel right away?
In character, Morvia was asked to not kill more than needed, right? It felt like those were very tight parameters for them to work with, and everything was about to, break loose. I don't know, felt like very in character of them. Don't take risks, don't take chances. What's that kind of their motto?
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was like a refreshing look because, I don't know, I feel like it's very human to want to stay and see what happens, but it's nice to see professionals be professional.
I mean, why stay and hang out and be an arbitrary danger too?
Yeah.
Like, you're a poisoner. Your whole goal is to be in and be out.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, this whole chapter was like hilarious to me and is definitely my favorite chapter. Friendly just losing his shit and being like, apologize to my fucking dice.
Dude, that
It's
is
so funny.
great. And then, like, when him, was it Costco? I keep calling him Costco.
Casca.
Casca.
No, he's Costco, soldier of fortune, and he's like, oh, how to go over here, and he's just covered in blood with his axe, and it's like, yeah, don't fuck with his dice, I guess. He's a great dude.
And
I like Koska's humor.
He's actually a really good character.
I like their bonding too between Friendly and Casca, where Casca's just talking and Friendly doesn't literally say anything. Stuff.
That seems pretty on par. Like, that seems like a good relationship for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Lexi. So we see Carlat Dan Eider. She writes the letter to Orso. Did you think that was a major setback for their plan?
So as I was listening to this transpire, I was like, oh shit, like Monza's gonna like lose her shit. She's gonna like slit this lady's throat and like let her bleed out everywhere. And then Monza's reaction I thought was very good because she was like didn't faze her. She didn't care. Like what this lady hoped to accomplish was like to like be a needle in Monza's side, and Monza did not give her the satisfaction. And I thought that was really, really cool. But yeah, Orso is gonna find out eventually. Like all these people who are dropping dead, like there is a connection. Sure, you can rationalize it with like their circumstances, but
Yeah, and I felt like
it just
too many people knew she was alive at this point for it to like remain a secret.
yeah.
She's hiring people out. Yeah.
If anything, it gave her like a hard data point, like confirmation that Orso does know now, and she didn't have to wonder before.
I do like her comment, although I feel like it didn't really need to be said out loud. It's like, no. Like, you gave us all of this. You are in league with us at this point, whether you like it or not. You want us to survive and succeed.
Yeah.
So you can do whatever you want, but good luck.
I think part of her also wanted Orso to know. I think she wanted Orso to know that she got Ariel.
But like, it's failsafe. She's done like, no, I don't think anyone really expects in this group for them to succeed this whole thing, including her. So it's like, get that name out. Make sure you know who's doing it now. That way, if she fails early, she did her thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The times she's come close to failing or dying, she's been very accepting of like, well, at least I got, some of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's much more acceptance than despair that she can't kill them all.
She is also on drugs all the time.
Yeah. That's going to come up big in a couple chapters.
It's also not very new information either.
No, for sure. That's actually all I had for this chapter.
I have something I want to say. Okay, so one thing that I really liked and really noticed in this chapter is just this author's like literary devices and like usefulness of like use of language. Like I loved Casca's like drink, like, and how it was just peppered through everything. But also the fact that these people are sitting down, our characters are sitting down, having conversations, and they will say a phrase or something only for it to be repeated back to them later by somebody else in a different situation, just highlighting like how all these people have issues.
Yeah.
It's just so beautiful, such a perfect balance.
It's been really good. Do you disagree, Leonard?
No, I I felt like there was a lot of thought put into Koska's language in particular. I think there were a few lines in later chapters that I actually liked a lot, like the way he phrased it. It was like humor, but literal.
I just like his character, his character growth. Although this book's short overall, but so like it's gonna have to go fast. But it's just really good and satisfying watching his growth in such a short time. Whereas you go through like an entire another series and your character may be just basically dumb as a brick from day one to the end of the book.
He feels very much like he doesn't take anything, not just that he doesn't take it seriously, but that he doesn't take it personally, I guess. He thinks about Monza betraying him, and he's like, I could be mad about that, or I could not, and he doesn't really care either way.
It's in his best interest not. So yeah, it's really neat.
I really like Sapani. I like the entire setting of the city of thieves and fog.
I felt like there was a lot of setup just to end so quickly.
I mean, I think that's going to be this book a lot too, though. Like, unless we get like 3 pages of someone getting tortured, which is where we spend our time. Like, you just have to get through everything fast.
It was just the first chapter after 2 really quick ones where it felt like they were planning everything. Okay, everything's got to be perfect. And then when it happens, it's just, let's just pull all the grade 8 pins at once, you know? It felt like, all right, you know what? Let's just light everything on fire.
But isn't that like how it kind of goes with these kind of things? And these, like, ideally, like you build these plans and then ideally just it all goes, well, this doesn't go quite to plan, but it happens quickly whether you like it or not. You've got a time limit. Once you start the process, you got not very much time to do what you're trying to accomplish.
I would love to put a pin on this and then come back to this at the end of our podcast.
Okay.
I didn't find Ariel's death very satisfying. I felt like it was too quick for him for some reason. If there were 2 or 3 characters in her list of revenge, right, that I wanted a little bit more detail, it would be Ariel and Orso, you know, maybe Faithful too. Yeah,
we'll get to that one. They murdered less people, kind of.
I think they murdered a ton of people.
Yeah.
Well, less than they could have.
I think they burned down a brothel that was full of people, and a bunch of people got lit on fire and stabbed, and...
Well, those are unrelated events.
Wow.
They hired all the entertainers. So this was definitely my favorite, like, of the cities that we visited, the parts, and I thought the whole scene in the Great Hall was hilarious. They got the circle, he just chops off Greybeard's arm, Grey whatever his name was, and it kills him.
Yeah.
And then freaking Arya's dead naked body just splats in the middle of their circle, and all of a sudden the band starts chopping at people, and there's the fire breather running around setting people on fire, and I don't know.
Oh man, the dude with the axe loot was very like El Mariachi pulling the gun out of the case kind. There was a lot of really just fun scenes in that chaos.
Yeah,
and friendly scene was just great. Just don't talk shit about his dice.
Apologize to my fucking dice. Alright, Viscerine, Part 4. Duke Orso hires a man named Schenkt to kill everyone responsible for his son Ario's death. Schenkt demands 100,000 scales for Monza and 20,000 scales for each assistant. Orso agrees. Schenkt is a former eater. He uses magic to slow time, speed up his actions, and give him strength. Schenkt goes to visit Shajam and kills his men. Shajam tells him that Monza and company are in Viscerine and likely headed to Peranti after. Meanwhile, the crew is arriving in the city of Viscerine. Orso's general Ganmark is on his way to siege Viscerine, and they plan to kill him when he arrives. They bribe their way into the city and go to a house that Monza bought years ago. There's a family of farmers squatting, and Monza lets them stay on the condition they don't go upstairs, where the crew will be staying. While getting settled, Monza speaks alone with Day and tells her to watch out for treachery from Morvir. She tells Day that he will probably betray them to Orso. Monza and Shivers start sharing a bed. Casca and Monza do some sloppy sparring. Orso's army arrives. They plan to steal some uniforms of the besieging army, get into the castle where Duke Salier has a huge collection of art. Ganmark is a lover of art, and they expect he'll go see the collection. Getting into the castle poses a challenge, but Casca says he has a standing invitation from Duke Salier. The others doubt it and start planning another way in. Casca and Friendly are sent to get the uniforms. They are in the thick of some fighting, and Friendly freaks out at the chaos, while Casca is at home amongst the battle. They find another uniform and head back to the house. At the house, Monza and Shivers talk of revenge. Shivers is losing his will to be good and losing his optimism. The two of them do some sloppy sparring when some Tesserine soldiers break in and take them captive. The family of farmers have betrayed them, thinking they were spies for General Ganmark. Monza, Shivers, and Day are dragged to the castle dungeons. Morvier and Vitari see them and decide to rescue them. Then they see Casca striding up to the castle gate. In the dungeon, Monza and Shivers are tortured. They speak the truth, but their torturers don't believe them. Shivers has his eye burned out with a hot iron. Duke Salier puts a stop to it because of Casca's intervention. They are welcomed to the castle. Shivers goes catatonic as his face starts to heal. Monza tries to convince Duke Salier to help them kill Ganmark, but he's pretty much given up. He knows he's doomed. As Shivers recovers, he loses a bit of his mind. All fear has fled, along with wanting to be a good person. He kills one of his torturers and prepares to fight Ganmark's soldiers. Monza, Shivers, Casca, Friendly, and Day wait in Duke Salier's sculpture garden. Ganmark enters with 26 soldiers. They take Salier into custody, and the group attacks. Ganmark is said to be one of the greatest swordsmen around. He toys with Monza. Casca joins the fight, and Ganmark beats both of them, running Casca through the gut with his sword. Before he kills them, Shivers tips a giant statue onto Ganmark's back, killing him. More of Ganmark's men are trying to get into the room. Morvier and Vitari show up to rescue them in a boat. Casca says they should leave him behind because he's dying. Friendly offers to stay with him, but he declines. The rest get into the boat and leave Viscerine. I really like the different viewpoints in this part, especially when Friendly and Casca are at the siege, and Friendly's thinking about how Ganmark should be put in prison, but also he's like, the judges told him he can't tell right from wrong, and just their different perspectives of what's going on was really fun to read.
I like this entire thing being in the middle of a siege. That was just kind of an interesting, I'm going to go assassinate someone in a siege. And granted, their target was the perpetrator of it. It was still just kind of a cool environment to see them trying to roll through while the city is just under bombardment. And how just disassociated the, what's his name was? The governor. I don't know his name. I'm blanking on it.
The Duke.
The Duke, yeah.
It felt a bit convenient how easily they escaped after something like that. You're thinking in the middle of a war, a city siege, you're killing the most important person next to the most important person for the city. It doesn't sound like something that you can easily get away with. Their whole escape felt very, weaved in.
It sounds like it's already set up. Go ahead, Daniel. Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I think the key is that Ganmark's army is like a land army. They're not attacking by sea, as far as I know.
Yeah.
And so, as long as they have a boat, they just row away.
Row, row, row your boat.
Gently away from Viscerine.
Yeah.
Or really fast away from Viscerine is probably the case. There's an interesting part where Duke Salier, as I decided he's French, makes a comment about how Duke Orso loved Monza even more than his own children. And he says that Orso has 3 children and calls them the fox, the shrew, and the mouse. We've only seen 2, right?
He has a daughter married to the
Okay, I thought he did.
the king of the Union.
Oh,
Remember?
yeah. Duh.
There. So
Yeah.
definitely has 3 children, but the daughter is barely mentioned.
Okay, that's right.
The son-in-law that we got to hang out with last chapter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I'm dumb. That was mentioned numerous times. So as things are getting worse in Viscerine, we see a bunch of soldiers coming up telling Duke Salier about it, and he just basically says, keep fighting, and he's very dismissive. Lexi, he clearly knew they were doomed, right? So why not surrender?
I think this Duke was is definitely detached from reality. He definitely lives for the arts and for the drama and for the romance, and I think he did not really he does not know what like human cost of war is. And I think for him this is just another epic, another art painting to be crafted. Yeah, I think he was a bad leader.
Anyone have a counter argument?
I think it's in character actually. He loves his art, right? If there's something he hates, it's Denmark taking all of it. Like, do you think he would rather live and see Denmark take his entire collection? If he surrendered, versus just die fighting. Like, sure,
So, I don't think he had that motive until Monza put that motive in his head.
Also, if he really wanted to keep it from him, he would have burned all the paintings. Like,
yeah,
he's still going to get the paintings whether he fights or doesn't fight.
I think he just knew. He just gave up because they even made comments like, even if he runs to the next town, he's just gonna die there. And at this point, like, he doesn't give a shit about his troops. Obviously, he doesn't give a shit. I mean, just how disconnected he was with torturing them. He was like, "Oh yeah, you get it. This is just how it is." So he lost an eye. Times are tough. And it was his own person doing it. Zero shits given. He gave him a nice breakfast, and then he even threatened them afterwards after they started getting a little snooty right off the bat. Like, kind of watch your language. Like, he is very disconnected, but also completely aware of what's coming up. So, shit.
So this was definitely like the impression. That was my first impression too, and I don't think it's necessarily wrong at all. It did make me realize how much we attribute to people's demeanor, I guess. If this was a guy who was pulling a Braveheart and being like, we may die today, but we're going to bloody this army. We're going to show them what Viscerines are made of, and we're going to make their army weaker so they can't conquer the entire thing. Like, we'd be like, just view him completely different. Like, even though he's doing the exact same thing, he's just sending his soldiers out to die.
Same. I think intentions matter, too. Like,
sure.
I get it's the same result, but I do feel like intention does matter. He's not giving them an inspirational speech. He's like, yeah, whatever, just keep fighting. Go, do the thing.
Yeah.
Let's do what I pay you to do. Like, that's what it was, like, so dismissive. No.
Yeah.
And I get what you're saying, though. It is the same result. Everyone's dying. They're going to lose. But even him, he's like, even if he gave up, it doesn't matter. He knows what Ursula's going to do. Like, she pushed his own daughter, adopted daughter off of a mountain when there was a mild threat of her taking over. Like, he's not surviving this.
Yeah. I just thought it was an interesting, like, how we view people.
Yeah.
Despite the results being identical.
This is a chapter where I like that line from Koska when he fought a soldier and he pushed this soldier underneath a painting of a naked woman and it fell on him. And he was like, lucky bastard to die under a naked woman.
Yeah.
He strolls up. They're reading, like, they made a comment. It's like, oh, you don't read lips, like when it was the torture lady. It's like, so what's he saying? And she's like, I'm here for dinner. And that's like what got him in there.
All right, Rick, what did you think of Ganmark toying with Monza and Casca?
I mean, he's the best swordsman around, right? Like, that's I don't know what to think of it besides for he was clearly in the winning position. I guess
not so much him beating them, but the way he went about it, giving Monza second chances.
It was. I still feel like it was pure cockiness. It wasn't a second chance. This was never going to be a real best of three. This was he knew he was going to win this, and he's just trying to make some sport of it. He's like, let's have some fun while we're doing this. Like, he felt zero threat, especially because he's surrounded by an army. Like, even if if he figured like he was never really in danger, so why not? Cocky, but fun character.
Yeah. I thought this was going to be one of the things you'd be annoyed at because it's the like experienced general doing something really fucking dumb.
He didn't lose to that though. Like if that was the case, maybe, but he didn't really lose to that.
He did though, because
Go ahead, Daniel. I was trying to say.
Well, because while he's fighting, there's other fights going on and his soldiers are losing. So he's just setting himself up to die in a little bit. Whereas if he just kills both of them right away, he can go help his soldiers win these other fights.
I think I gave this a go because the overall plot of this is super tropey anyway. Like, there's some cool twists and things, but like this just felt right for the character and felt right for the spot. You're right. If he would have killed him, the book would be over, but like that's not how it's gonna go. And so we have to be cocky.
Yeah.
I loved this fight so much. Like, I love it because like Monza like makes all these plans for all these different like bosses, all these people that she's trying to kill, and things never go to plans. Like, go according to plan. Everything just goes to shit. And more often, like these like people that she's trying to kill, because of their flaws, that's why they end up dying. And like this was a perfect example of that. This guy's cockiness, this guy's pride, like he got impaled by his favorite statue. It was just beautiful.
I don't think he did anything wrong. I think Shivers cheated.
I thought Gamma was trying to give her a chance, like genuinely trying to give her a chance, because in his previous conversation with like Shank, right, when he described like the betrayal of Monza and how things happened,
okay,
I thought I felt a little bit of remorse in Genmark, just a little bit, and I was starting to kind of swing that way during the fight when he said, "Shall we make this best of 3?" It felt like he was trying to give her a better shot, at it, and well, it didn't work out, but
so
it felt that way.
Has anyone seen Mean Girls?
Of course.
Okay. So did this not have a Mean Girls kind of feel to it? Like the bully starts walking away and then just gets hit by a fucking bus? Like as an ending? Like the fight itself was fun, but then all of a sudden, and then statue comes down.
No, but I think it is artistry. It is poetry that he is killed by that fucking statue. Like, it represents his hubris and his just fucking arrogance.
Sure. Kind of like, never mind. I won't get too topical.
I did think this fight was very... So in the original trilogy, the Union people, like, they mostly learn defense for sport, and it's a very cocky sport, and so he's a Union... he's from the Union, and so I thought it was very on brand for probably how he learned defense in the beginning. That's it for Eviscerine for me. Anyone have anything else?
Yeah, I will say, I just want to touch on the fact that Mansa like spared those farmers, and it's heavily alluded to because of like the sister and brother, and how much it just like fucks her over. Like, I hope that like...
I don't think she blames them. Like,
I don't think she blames them, but I feel like she's gonna carry that. I think she feels also especially guilty about Shivers, what happened to Shivers.
That whole scene. Really.
I like the final exchange between Casca and Monza. I thought it was quite beautifully worded from him. Like when he said, "Do me a favor," and he just said, "Forgive me." I don't remember the exact quote, but that what he said after, I thought that was well written.
It also sucks because I had a prediction here, and like because we've read, we know it's not a prediction. But like, it was so fucking obvious that guy was not dying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right then and there, like as soon as I heard that, I was like, "Fuck that! That's not what's happening." Of course, she's not going to stay with him till he bleeds out. Like,
no body, no death.
Exactly. The and Friendly offering to stay behind with him, that was a very nice moment.
They were best friends.
Yeah. I know. All right, Peranti. Part 5. Peranti. Flashback. For 2 years, Monza's half of the Thousand Swords had pretended to fight Casca's half. Monza is working for Orso now, and her brother Benna has convinced her captains they should attack Casca's soldiers in earnest. She's confronted by Orso and agrees to it. In the present, the crew is in the city of Peranti to kill faithful Carpi. They're watching the army of Grand Duke Rogent retreat. Morvier and Monza argue. Friendly decides to return to Sejam because he was expecting a letter that never arrived, on account of Sejam being killed by Shenkt. When he gets to the road, he meets a mysterious person that he knows. Shivers gets a fake eye. Manza goes to see Grand Duke Rogent, who is expecting her. She embarrasses some of his captains, and then they get down to business. Rogent is accompanied by an eater named Ishri. She represents the Gurkish Empire, who want to see Orso fail. They come to an agreement. Rogent will loan Manza some soldiers, and Manza will use them to kill Faithful Carpi, take command of the Thousand Swords, and join forces with Rogent to fight Orso. Shankt is still on the hunt for the crew. He finds a whole group of assassins across the street from where Manza and Shivers are staying. There are 3 more assassins watching the other side. Those ones attack, and Shivers kills 2 of them because Manza's high again. She comes to enough to kill the 3rd. Meanwhile, Shankt kills the group of assassins. He comes into the room too late to catch Manza and Shivers, but finds Manza's ring. He takes a leg off a corpse to eat later. As they prepare for their plan, Manza and Morvir bicker. Morvir backs off and apologizes. He makes the crew his mother's stew. They're mostly unimpressed. It's time to execute the plan. Shivers goes to the Thousand Swords and pretends to betray Manza, telling Faithful Carpi where she is. Carpi brings a small contingent of soldiers and leads them into a trap. They all die. The Eater Ishri kills a bunch with magic explosions. Morvir and Day were in the barn. Morvir makes a joke about joining Orso, but Day believes him because of Manza's earlier warnings. She tries to kill him, but he kills her instead. As the battle gets closer to him, he hides and then runs, planning to go to Duke Orso. Faithful Carpi and Manza get into a one-on-one. Carpi is injured, and Manza beats him easily. They talk, and Carpi says he always wanted to be faithful, but her brother Benna had already convinced all the other captains to betray Casca. He didn't feel he had a choice. He ends up caught in a water wheel. Manza tries to save him, but it's too late. Faithful Carpi is dead. 5 dead, 2 left. Vitari decides she's had enough. She's done with Manza's vendetta. Manza gives her a banknote as payment, and she leaves. When Manza goes to gain control of the Thousand Swords, she finds they've already picked a new leader. Nikomo Casca. Alright, Leonard. When Shivers and Manza were having sex just before the assassins broke in, do you think Shivers jumped because he heard the assassins, or was it the finger in the butt?
Pretty sure assassins. I mean, it's been mentioned several times, like, he's got pretty keen senses, like, pretty keen hearing. So I would say it's definitely the assassins.
Little column A, little bit column B.
He doesn't seem like the type of man to jump when he hears killers in the hallway. I'll just leave it at that. Also, for people listening, it's polite to ask first, you know. All right, Lexi has a different opinion about that.
No. Okay,
Yeah.
so in Cosmopolitan, the magazine, it is encouraged that you do, like, when you're having sex, to put a little finger up your man's butt, and you're not supposed to ask for permission because they may but if you ask for permission first, they'll be like, oh, that's gay, I don't want that. So just a little FYI, there is.
Cosmo has never led anyone astray, so I'm taking this.
No, never. I'm just saying that I have personally read advice that says don't ask.
Gotcha. Manza reads Cosmo confirmed.
Yes.
That is really interesting that in consent awareness, that magazines are specifically saying don't ask for consent.
So this was probably this was in college when I read it, so it was about almost 10 years ago. But again, if
still
you're
a thing 10 years ago.
Of course, and it is important, but at that point, I would say if you're in bed and fooling around, I think that you have some permission to explore.
Sure. All right, moving on. So, Rick, we see someone approach Friendly as he's leaving the group. Any predictions on who it is?
Did we? I don't remember that right now. Hold on.
Yeah, there was a line that said, "What a coincidence to see you here," but they never mentioned the name.
Yeah, I had wondered if it was somebody from safety.
Yeah, it would almost have to be. Unless it was
Sajam's dead.
Yeah, but it could have been someone from Sajam's being like, yo, our boss just got murked.
Yeah, he did let the one guy go.
Yeah, is that the one guy?
Shanked.
No, I think it's Nikomo. I think it's Casca that he actually sees.
Oh, that would be interesting.
That would be interesting.
Oh.
Because that's why Friendly is with him.
But then
I think. Like, how else
Friendly
is
with
Friendly
him later?
But then Friendly just decides to not go back. Like, it felt like he was so sure to try to go back to Sejam, but he just gave up halfway. They never explained why he turned around.
I don't remember Friendly being, like, you're talking about at the end?
Yeah.
When Casca reappears?
He's with the...
No.
With the
Daniel, remember when Friendly left the group, he said, I didn't receive a letter from Sejam. He sends to every city. I'm leaving. And then just before he left, he ran into someone. But they never said who it was. You know?
The camera just turned sideways. Also, I know. I literally just asked the question about this exact scenario.
Yeah.
I remember that. Lexi is saying that Friendly is with Casca at the end of this part.
And who he ran into was Casca on the road.
I don't remember Friendly being at the end of this book, or at the end of this part.
Oh, this is one I wish I had a physical copy of the book, so I could just go skim real quick.
Right. Assuming it's not Costco, it's probably the guy that Shanks let go, right? Because like otherwise, why would you turn back around?
Or just another person from. He had that line about how there was like a riot in the prison, and him and like the 6 other scariest people in the prison put a stop to it. I feel like it's one of those people.
Yeah. I must have been distracted when that line came up though, or something, because like I don't remember that like a one-off line of "Hey, you ran into a buddy." Although now
it was very short.
Yeah, it's like, what a coincidence to see you here, and then it was like as good a chance as any or something. It was like
double sixes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
The numbers that Friendly told him earlier that day.
Yeah. Okay, I remember.
Definitely not that day, but.
Yeah. Numbers are numbers. Double sixes are the same as any other. I mean, that's what he's commented in the beginning of it.
Right. Sorry, I thought it was the same day. I guess.
Because he leaves in Parenti, and they left Casca in Viscerine.
Correct. Yeah.
All right, moving on. So Monza loses her ring again. You think there's any significance to this, or it's just a running bit?
She loses. The ring?
Yeah, she loses her ring almost every chapter or every part.
I think she's gonna get it back.
I'm sure.
I think she will give it back, but I think the author kind of explains this time around how it is like her last piece of Benna and like how she feels it. Like,
but she's also willing to give it up. Like if this, so she's already made comments like, if this means I get to live and survive and do my murder another day, then it's gone. And which is actually something I really like about her character. You were kind of commenting about the last boss dying because of some stupidity. This is her actively not being stupid because of some weird sentimental value of something that can like isn't going to bring her anything more than just another risk if she thinks about it any other way. I think this is going to come back up too though, like when Casca's going to have it like toying with it with like Shanked next to him, being like, "Oh, Shanked," you know, like a Pokemon substitute shit, like holding on to it, just taunting her.
So we see Master Sulfur from the bank of Valent and Bach. He's visiting Carpi. He's just in like a couple lines, and then we saw him again in the first chapter we read tonight in Sapani. He was at the brothel with Orso's kids, Orso's sons, and you think there's a lot of significance to this. It seemed really out of the ordinary for him to be with the 1,000 swords. I wasn't sure what he would be doing there, unless he's delivering money.
Now that you mention it, now I'm also thinking that.
Actually, when you said deliver money, I have a theory now, or a prediction.
Let's hear it.
Remember Ishri, the one who offered that coin? I think he's there to deliver the money from her. Like, although the deal didn't fall through with Monza, I think the deal actually happened. So here's what I think might happen. I think Casca's actually going to end up helping Monza indirectly, and Master Sulfur was there to deliver that payment. That was the deal with Ishri, but it's actually a deal with Rogont rather than with Monza.
I think
you connected the dots there when you said.
I think you're missing a couple of key pieces. Ishri is an eater for the Gurkish Empire, which is the continent that's just south of them. And the Gurkish do not want Orso. They're like directly against Orso taking power. And they have their own banks, which are, I think they mentioned one of the Gurkish banks being like in direct competition with Valentinbach, because the banks basically are running these wars. So I don't think Ishri would be working with this bank.
So maybe mildly related, maybe not. One of the two said this. Was it Morvir or was it Costco who made a line saying that I never don't complete my contract?
Morvir.
It was Morvir. Okay. Probably going to be more relevant later then.
Shank also says that.
Maybe several people say that, but there's someone in our group, maybe it's Morvir, that originally had a contract against Casca at some point. There's comments to that. Or not Casca, sorry. A contract against...
It was like Casca's mistress or something.
Well, no, it was against Casca, but then he got Casca's mistress instead.
Right. Yeah. So is that contract not fulfilled yet then? Are we going to see a...
Maybe if the person who did it died, he doesn't feel obligated anymore.
Doesn't seem very professional.
There's no one to pay.
Does that mean he's going to go kill Orso because he always fulfills his contract?
Yeah.
That's actually my prediction.
I think so.
I was like, I think he's going to go befriend Orso and pretend he's working on their side, and then he's going to kill him at the end. And right when Monza's in there. All right, speaking of Morvir, I think Morvir has some of the most interesting character development in this chapter, or in these chapters. We learn about how he grew up in the orphanage, he was bullied by the other children, he just kind of wanted to make friends with people. And there's two parts that like give us some pretty interesting insight. There's the chapter where he makes a stew for the others because he's trying to be friendly, and everybody's just like super suspicious, and then he just says some dumb shit, and everybody's like, oh, this guy's an asshole. Even though he's really trying to like, you know, be nice to people and get along with them. And then Day portrays him. He's being sarcastic, but he's so misunderstood even by his own assistant who's been with him for years that she tries to kill him. It really made me feel bad for Morvir, and like, this guy just wants a friend.
It's so sad.
Yeah.
So, my prediction was Morvir betrays Orso because he has a contract with Monza and he feels the need to complete it, but also because he wants to like prove that he's on their side and maybe make some friends.
I will not be his friend after he murdered Day, though.
Man, Day started it.
Yeah, she tried to murder him.
Started it.
Monza started all of this whole series. Monza's the bad guy, and they keep reiterating it with every boss encounter over and over again.
Orso started it.
No, I mean, kind of, but like,
Orso's grandpa started it.
Like,
Orso started a villain.
She's still not a good guy by any stretch. Like, she's a junkie on a murder spree.
Hashtag not the bad guy.
She's definitely
not the good guy.
Not a good guy.
Female protagonist, not the bad guy.
I can't believe you're upset that Morvir killed Day. Like, she literally tried to murder him.
Oh, I really like Day. And I liked that entire exchange. I thought that was brilliant.
I thought the exchange was great too. I love how the big poison was just nothing. It was so good.
And the antidote.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that he taught her a poison that wasn't a poison shows his distrust for her too.
Well,
caution first.
They did say, like, it's been at least said that it's most common death cause of the master poisoners is their apprentice. So, you know, he just doesn't want to be a statistic.
Don't be a statistic, kids.
All right, Lexi. We see Monza putting in kind of a token effort to try to save Carpi. I don't know. Maybe she was really trying. You think she lets him live if she saves him?
I don't know. I think... I don't think she does. But I do think that, again, she's feeling some guilt. She's feeling some remorse, and I think this is also like forcing her to think about her feelings about Benna and like the entire betrayal of Casca in the first place.
And running into these people from her past is really having like her face reality a little more.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
All right, second question, Lexi. Do you think Monza and Benna were lovers?
So I've had this like question.
Definitely.
I don't think they were. Again, I don't think there's any like, because it hasn't been like concretely said. Like it's kind of been alluded to, but like I don't know, just keeping that opening exchange at the beginning of the book in mind. Like they definitely were very close, much closer than normal siblings. but they're still like teasing each other. I don't know. I don't think that they were actually lovers.
I think one of the best indicators that maybe they were was when she was in the bedroom and she had talked about sharing that bedroom with, or how Benna was in the bedroom, and he had left the little statuette on the windowsill or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's clearly like a huge house with many bedrooms. So it'd be pretty weird for them to share a bedroom.
So you have 2 kids whose father died very young, and they've only had to watch out for each other and take care of each other. Mons is always taking care of Benna, right? Because like she's stronger and larger. Siblings share beds. I've shared beds with my brothers. Like it's not sexual. It doesn't have to be sexual.
For sure. And I'm not saying they definitely are. It's definitely up in the air, and they're hinting at it here and there.
So there was another comment too where I forgot who it was, but they were talking to Shivers and they were saying, "Oh yeah, Mansa, Benna would wear clothes like this," and she's obviously having romantic relations with Shivers. So I thought that was another thing that might have alluded to it, but I don't know. I think they're very close. I think there's like some intense bonding that is definitely like unhealthy, but I don't think it's to that point.
I definitely took the Shivers thing as like, yes, he reminds me of my brother. This is like my brother replacement, but like in the same sense of like, you find someone like your parents or something like that, like romantically or whatever. You find someone that makes you comfortable, that you're familiar with, not that you are attracted to your family member. But I could definitely also see the writer of this book being like, yeah, they fucked, because like that just seems like something that could be put in here. I also kind of think her brother might have been gay, but that's probably because of the reference from the last. I'm gonna just call them bosses now too. The last boss made a comment towards, "No, I was more interested in someone like your brother."
Yeah, I also think that Bennett was gay. How else would he choose such fine jewelry for his sister?
Really hard to find a huge rock and put it on a ring.
I think it's like 80% chance they were involved.
80%, damn. Mm-hmm. It's a high percent chance.
Yep.
It is definitely one of those things I wouldn't be surprised either way. No.
Yeah.
I think it's meant to be that way.
Why not both?
I also think it's something we won't get an answer to in the end.
Probably not, unless they use it as some kind of taunt.
Yeah. But even if they use it as a taunt, like, it could just be other people thinking that they are, but not necessarily are.
True. Everyone seems pretty knowledgeable on her sex life, though.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, Mansa has been around, like.
Has she?
Well, what was it? It was like, because even like the leader of like when he was talking to Shivers, he's like, if you're sleeping with her, why the fuck are you over here? Go sleep with her forever. Basically, is what he said. Like, because I've heard stories.
Faithful Carpy.
Yeah, yeah. They made comments towards it. I don't know.
All right, let's move on. I just had a quick note. The last chapter in this was the chapter title was The Old New Captain General, which I thought was a clever name for a title because Casca's the old new one and you're expecting it to be her.
Yeah, could have been either.
Yeah.
I thought that when I heard it.
Yeah, me too. Wait, you thought Casca or Mansa?
Mansa.
Same.
Yeah.
But this is better.
It is. All right. Lexi, do you think Mansa is a good leader?
With Benna, yes. Without Benna, no.
What do you think it is that makes her a bad leader?
She doesn't have the respect of her immediate comrades. She doesn't like Movier specifically is kind of a douche and not a team person, but I can never say her name. The freckled mom.
Vitari.
I think she could have kept Vitari. I think she could have like kept friendly. I think in her current circumstance, she's not a very good leader. She's just has money, whereas before she's relied on Benna to strategize and keep those friendships. I think she's a soldier at heart.
Can I say the opposite? I think she's a great leader for a couple of reasons. Like, I think she's got not a great team because she had limited choices and all she had was money to grab who she could. But she also grabbed people who were dispensable. She grabbed people who, like, granted, they're not, like, they are following her instructions. The biggest thing she's got going for her, she's just making a fucking decision and going. And then she's working with what she's got, which is, like, you talk about bad leadership is when they just pussyfoot around and make, like, stall. They don't know what to do. Granted, she's not a good executor. She's kind of awful at the execution on her side for herself. If she was just telling the people to do it and let them do it, look how fucking good it worked out for her. Like, she just let Morvier do his thing. Bam, happened, done, job's done. They just could leave. Like, she had to go. She mucked it up by having to go see what was going on over there.
Yeah.
Poor decision making, but I think her leadership, just decision making, strategizing, is fine.
Yeah, she doesn't hesitate.
Is she a good person? No, she's an awful person.
No, yeah, we're just her leadership.
Yeah,
I think her leadership's pretty awful. I think she puts no effort into making her crew like her, which is like pretty important for keeping loyalty. And loyalty is not an assumed thing in this world, obviously. Trying to kill Orso sons when they're meeting like other world leaders, it's like trying to kill the mayor of a small town when he's visiting the White House and there's like surrounded by Secret Service. Like, that's literally the worst time to do it. Grab him when he's at his house or something. And she's decisive, but her plans suck and they go to shit because they're shit plans.
She's on a timeline, and so far 100% success rate.
I feel like they worked because, well, they didn't kill Fosgar. The other son got away.
Yeah, but he still can be killed.
Yeah, we still got time.
I mean, think about it this way. If you were on that revenge list, what are the odds of her succeeding? I think it's pretty high right now, you know?
Like, plot armor aside.
I do feel like there's a lot of plot armor. Everyone in the group has made it through every single thing.
Except Shiver's eyes.
Except Shiver's eye.
Dave's definitely.
They didn't die fighting anyone. She died because Mons is a bad leader.
I mean,
the
battle between poisoners is a fight.
Discord.
I also feel like she hired all these people expecting every single one of them to betray her. I don't think she's banking on everyone being loyal. I think she's banking on people getting what they want, which in this case, for a couple of them, money and pride and a sense of purpose and redemption. Like everyone
plan for that.
Well, I mean, it's all working out for her because of plot armor. Certain things where it's like, it feels like she's giving everyone what they need, though, like whether it's through happenstance or not. Because this feels like the Wizard of Oz. She's just the Wizard of Oz.
All right. Question for Rick and Lexi. They say fuck in this book a lot. Does it have the same effect it did in Broken Earth?
Nope.
Not at all. This whole environment feels way more hot. Like, the environment feels different. This doesn't feel like high fantasy or trying to explore.
Do you think it's all because of the writing, or do you think the reader, the narrator of I assume it's a different narrator from the Broken Earth series?
It is.
Yeah.
You think that has an effect on it?
So it's not a rare instance of saying fuck. Like, fuck is like every other sentence in this book. Like, Christine,
it's not that common.
It's super common. Well, just like swearing and crudeness and gore, like it's kind of expected with this writing style. Whereas with the Broken Earth, it was just like Earth obelisks, fucking. Like, it was just
right. And they're generally not talking about fucking. They're saying fucking the exclamation more than anything.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel
also
like
had their own version of fuck, right? They had Russ also, which
right.
Yeah.
Right. Where. And I'm going to piggyback off of what Rick says. So I think they almost exclusively used fuck for, like, fucking in the Broken Earth, which is probably why it was so jarring. Because they had other words, like, what the rust?
Yeah. Cool. I was just curious if it was how it was coming off in audiobook form.
This also isn't coming across as high fantasy either. Like, you have the Eaters, but, like, that's it so far. The rest of it just seems like a standard revenge story.
This feels like a revenge story with, like, just, like, almost like a D&D setting. More than the other one. It's like, well, you rolled poorly on this, so that guy's... yeah.
Lexi, do you have a prediction on how the crew doesn't get killed by Shanked?
I don't think Monza will be killed by Shank. I want to see Shank and Shivers fight, because I think that would be very interesting. But I do think he'll probably kill off some of the people. This guy's fucking inhuman.
Do you think in the fight with Shanked and Shivers is going to finally use magic?
Yeah! Oh, yes!
I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think Shivers can use magic.
I don't think so either. But he's the only one really obsessed with it. So it's like...
Wow, or he's mentioned it like twice in the, like...
Yeah, but he said it like with like big doughy eyes. Magic.
I have a theory about this one.
I don't think
Very
magic
different.
in this world is like an easy thing or like a thing people can just use.
No, he's got to be under great distress trying to save the love of his life.
Yeah, it's not cliche like that.
No, he's gonna eat some human, and then he'll do it.
There we go.
He is kind of going on the cray-cray side. Like, I could see that.
What was your prediction, Leonard?
I think Shank is on Monza's side. Like his pattern kind of checks out. This is a very long game. Like I don't think we'll figure it out in the next like part or so. But he's been killing everyone who knows about Monza, almost like he's trying to protect her secret rather than trying to. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who wants to keep all the payouts to himself. He strikes me a guy with like a purpose, like a purpose that he's kind of sticking to. So I have a feeling he's on Monza's team.
I think I just came to the same thing as Rick did.
Is he? What do you? Because no.
You think he's the doctor who rescued
Never
her
really-
at the bottom of the mountain?
Yes, that part.
That is.
Yeah.
I was going to get to that, but yeah. Yeah.
Is he the doctor?
No.
The doctor a bone eater? Or sorry, is the bone collector a fucking
An eater.
No. No.
Which is why
Is
it's really
he
a
that
bit
eater?
wild, but yeah.
No. You guys are ridiculous. No.
That would be pretty wild.
And then he gets paid to be like, and right now he's getting paid to basically take out the competition, the other assassins that are going after Monza.
Predictions are not wild enough. I mean, predictions need to be wild enough for him to be predictions, right? That's mine.
I like it.
I'm on that page. I'm in that. I want that guy to be the assassin, and basically he's just out here killing the other assassins that are being paid to go after him.
He just wants Monza to come back to the university so he can be like, look at these bones.
Yeah.
You didn't believe in me.
And that's why he got kicked out of the university.
Yeah.
Because he would fucking eat people, because he's a fucking eater.
He's trying to collect the coins in Monza's skull, you know?
Oh, he does. He does need his money back first.
Yeah.
He loaned her a couple bucks.
So my prediction for dealing with Shanked was he's still the bad guy. I hadn't really considered that he wasn't because all his chapters seem very on par with somebody who's trying to hunt down Monza. But I thought there were two ways I could think of where they don't all die to him. He fights another eater like Ishri or whatever her name was, or he catches up to them right as they're like fighting Orso. And I was thinking, much like Lexi said, Shivers fights him and like kind of holds him off for a second, and then Monza kills Orso, and he's like, well, there's nobody to pay me my contract, so my contract's over, and then he just doesn't kill them.
Isn't he the same faction of people who wants Orso to not win?
Yeah, he is.
So I think that eaters don't have like a political alliance.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like more like a class versus a region they're from.
Yeah.
I think he's like an independent eater, right? Like he like left their lord or whatever,
Got it. Sure.
and he's kind of just doing his own thing.
I like that he tries to give people a chance. He's like, I'm gonna give you a chance. Oh, here's a hi homeless person. Here's some money.
Wait, much like somebody gave somebody a chance in the beginning of the book by putting money in their skull.
No.
Oh yeah, the coin in the skull.
No. I think if Shanked came across Monza's body, he would have cut it up and ate it.
This is my headcanon. No, because she was alive. He's only been eating deadish people.
I think he would have killed her.
But he already ate her brother.
That is another one. So I don't know how eaters are created. I think they start as alive humans and then they eat undead flesh and they become eaters. But what if Benna was raised and then ate some dead people? And
That's another cool fun one. If Shanked is Benna.
Yeah. I hope that's not the case.
I don't think so. I mean,
I don't really think
Shut
so
your
either.
mouth.
Shank is in the same room as Orso negotiating. Unlikely.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Favorite characters? Started off with Rick. You said friendly already.
Friendly and Costco.
Okay. Leonard?
They're the BFFs.
Same, really. I liked friendly before. Now I just add another one I like, which is Costco.
Lexi?
Casca and Ishri.
Ishri, huh?
Yeah, I hope we get more.
It was pretty funny after she killed a bunch of people. She was like, "You still got it."
Okay.
Yeah. Friendly's mine. Shivers was mine last week, and I'm switching over to Friendly.
I knew it.
Poor Shivers, but
He's a little murdery now.
He's spiraling
He is.
fast.
If Shank turns out to be the bone collector, easily my favorite. to pull that kind of shift. If not, fuck them both.
All right. Anyone have any final predictions
Can
or anything else they wanted to cover?
Real quick about how. Okay, what was the last guy's name? Faithful.
Faithful
Carpy.
Carpy.
What a disappointing death.
Yeah, nothing.
It's like, oh, you're caught. Well, oh no, you're dying.
Well, I think
See you later.
There's like no closure to his death.
Yeah.
Right.
I thought,
Right.
like, otherwise there's no way she's going to beat him one-on-one if he's not basically already half dead. And
It's just 2 buses in a row.
Well, it's not even that, but like in those moments, though, she has that guilt. She actually goes and tries to save him, and I think that's the part of it. Like his death is so mundane.
yeah. And I thought it was really interesting, just like because he's speaking of her past, and like we're getting a reality check on everything we believe, and she's kind of getting that too. So I really like that.
We could also have Casca show up and stab him again. Like, get a friendly come in and get mad at numbers. Who knows?
Yeah.
Or Shanked come in and be like,
Too early for Shanked.
I know, but it was the water wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, okay.
This is not so much a prediction, but I feel I'm actually a bit looking forward to like the Foscar scene. Like, I'm just wondering if he has turned into an asshole and feels like he deserves to die, or he's still that whole I wasn't part of your murder. I didn't want to do this. Like, is he still the good kid she remembered, or is he more bitter now? I'm just curious how his character development has turned out when it's his turn.
I'm guessing we're going to see both of them at the same time, right? Because, I mean, if I was him, I would have gone back to Orso, because that's like one of the safest places.
So I have 2 things that I want to say before we close out the podcast. The first is just like, I don't know if I just wasn't paying attention to our first podcast, but this one just this author's like literary devices throughout the chapters. Like I don't know if you remember the heroic efforts chapter, but just like he kept referencing the chapter name over and over again, and it was just so beautiful, and like I don't know, just these strong themes.
Which chapter was that?
It was in Peranti, where Monso is like, I need to stop smoking, but that's going to take a heroic effort. And Amovir is like, that's going to take a heroic, I can't say that word, heroic effort for these people to like me. And it's just like, and then it ends with like new beginnings, right? Anyway.
If you saw that in an episode of a TV show, though, and they gymmed the camera, like, would you not, like, would that not just bug the shit out of you, though? Like, for me. Like, if I would have noticed that, I would have. If I didn't notice that, but if I would have been so annoyed to see the title of the chapter come up over and over again. It's like, womp womp. Final line. All right, predicting now. Final line. She's going to look back at the camera, book, whatever, and say, best served cold. And then it just fades to black. Like, that's the end of the book.
Okay.
It's beautiful. Beautiful literary masterpiece.
I think it is a literary mastery because it's not so obvious, right? Like, if you're not looking for it, like, you missed it, right? But I think it is just so poetic and only something you can do in a book. And my second thing that I wanted to say is that this is, like, kind of your classic revenge story. But it's cut up, it's like a box of chocolates, into these parts, into these 7 parts, these 7 people, and each one has a different flavor. And each one has similar themes, but the bosses are so different. And it's just so, like, artfully done. This is probably going to be one of my all-time favorite books. It is just so poetic justice, despite being a classic gory revenge story. It's just so artfully done. High praise.
Can I shit on that for a second?
Yeah, please.
I feel like this is the kind of book that was written after the show came out, and then we wanted to write a book to match it. Like, yeah. Like, this was a mini-series on Sci-Fi, and we had, like, a 7-episode mini-series, and then, like, someone's like, that'd make a pretty good book, and let's write all that down on what happened. That said, I feel like this would probably make a pretty good TV show, just like a quick one-season TV show.
It's gonna be a movie.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Monsa's gonna be played by Jessica from Dune. Forget her name.
MJ? No. Is that...
The mom.
Oh, the mom. Right. I'm just forgetting the characters. Interesting.
I also disagree with Lexi a little bit. Like I like the literature, I like the language, the words used, just the style of writing, but I didn't find the book very intriguing or engaging. Like even the fighting scenes, the outcome was so predictable. Like I felt like I was skipping through some of the battle sequences, at like the jabbing across some table or whatever, because it felt like how it was gonna turn out, and
Yeah.
I skipped like 2 paragraphs ahead. Oh, that's how it turned out. It didn't feel very exciting. I wasn't like.
So you didn't
by
like
my
the
seat.
fights that you skipped?
I actually reread some of them too, just to see if like I missed
Yeah.
anything important, and I just didn't feel like I was at the edge of my seat. Right?
So
Like usually when you fight, when you watch fighting scenes, you want to have some like kind of stake to it. Like you're not sure if your main character is gonna die, but this one felt so obvious. Your main character was gonna win that fight somehow,
Right.
and it was just it
Um,
felt very predictable.
Well,
And
I think that's the point. Is we know she's gonna survive. We know she's gonna hit her mark. Like,
Yeah.
and I don't think that's the point of the fight. Is to keep you wondering what if. I don't think that's the
It's-
point.
That's
they have a
probably why
lot
we
of
don't.
that. This guy loves describing fighting scenes.
Yeah.
It feels like, and it's all over the place, but it all feels so predictable.
This could
Like,
be why
It's
he doesn't.
supposed to be.
This is probably why they don't have really big boss fight descriptions. They had the one, but like the best descriptions were fucking torture scenes essentially, or
Well-
just like flipping out like apologize to my fucking dice. Like those scenes were great. We didn't know what was going on. The fucking chaos of that was great.
Yeah.
And the torture scene with the first boss and the torture scene with her, those were very well,
Yeah.
I could see them very well.
Okay.
Not
So
boring. You knew
if
she's
we
gonna
go-
get out of it, sure, but
we'll go back to the first scene. Okay, and I think each like end of the boss resembles the boss. Like the first one, we have his personal bodyguard, who's known to be violent and chaotic, be like decimated with a hammer in a violent and chaotic way. That was totally unsatisfying to Monza. And like we have that with the arch general being impaled by his favorite statue, and throughout the fight, Monza's like purposely getting blood on these things and trying to like slip him up. Like I think that's part of the appeal. Like we know she's gonna win. Like the fight isn't about whether or not she's gonna survive. She's gonna
I
stick 'em.
think that's why it didn't appeal to me, because like you can call like the death itself artistic, but I feel like maybe me personally, I'm looking for a little bit more like clever ways to go about this. It just feels like this whole book has felt very predictable. I'm going to kill this one, I'm going to kill this one, I'm going to kill that one. And there were so many shortcut scenes where they just suddenly appear here, and Monza, for some reason, is carrying pouches with thousands of gold in it with her at all times. Like, it just feels like there's just so many little holes, and there's no mystery. At least in the Broken Earth, you keep wondering, what the hell are the obelisks? Like, why are they floating without any help? Like, there is some things you want answered. I don't feel like there's anything I need answered in this book.
Yes.
Because it's like a revenge story, not a mystery.
Exactly. And it just feels like an action flick I would watch and tune out. And oh yeah, it's an action movie. Yeah.
I think it's so much more than an action flick. I think it's poetry.
Daniel, what do you think?
I disagree with Leonard pretty hard. I think the fights are some of the funnest parts. I think when you got Shivers in there just freaking out and he tries to stab this guy and he kills this woman instead, and then he's like throws a torch at somebody and it hits the wall and starts burning, sets the brothel on fire, and you got all these entertainers that all of a sudden just start murdering people. I don't know. That was so funny to me.
And then Shivers was gonna murder someone of his own team.
Well, and
It
then
feels like a scene out of Pirates of the Caribbean, except people
Pirates of the
actually
Caribbean was brilliant. The first movie was so good.
The first movie, yeah.
Yeah. And then
Very
you got
good.
the siege, and you've got Casca and Friendly running around, and you've just got like the dichotomy of the two viewpoints where Casca's just in his zone, and Friendly's like, "This is chaos. I hate this. Why would anyone ever do this?" And is like seeing it for like what it actually is, and is like, these people, whoever is leading them and telling them to do that, those people deserve to be in prison. But maybe I'm not the best judge of character. I don't know. I think it's all very entertaining, and it's fun perspectives and it kind of shows like a lot of the ridiculousness of war and just what people do for not very great reasons.
It's a brilliant exposition, I think. I don't think it is a good like keep you on the edge of your seats kind of story.
I like the banter.
I like to feel excited about the scenes rather than a lot of like what felt like mindless bloodbath.
That's cool. We can agree to disagree, and maybe you'll be on the edge of your seat at the end of the book. So we're reading the last two parts coming up for our next podcast, and that'll be the end of the book. Anyone have any big predictions on how it's going to end that we haven't talked about already? I kind of said what I thought was going to happen.
Orso's going to say that Benna had plans to overthrow him, and that's why he betrayed her. Not so much Bonza. And that would be like the big reveal. It was Benna who was trying to overthrow me. I had to do something, and she's like, "Fuck you anyway." That's how I think it's going to end.
I hope that's how it ends.
I could definitely see that. Seems very in character for Benna at this point, from all the stuff people are saying about him, I guess.
So this is why I think they're both going to die, by the way. I think we're going to have an entire another chapter of basically backstory to get more Benna-y. And we're going to watch the two die in the same chapter, the son and father. And I think Orso's going to get thrown off the mountaintop.
Oh, I hope so. Twice.
That might make sense, because I was looking at the map, and all the cities they've been in are like kind of slowly working their way up to Talons, except the second to last chapter, which is kind of like a side, like Talons is north of them, and it's like super far to the south and east. Yeah,
and that's
southeast.
Probably why we had some disappointing deaths here lately. Like, I was kind of disappointed with the statue. I was definitely disappointed with the water wheel. So it's just like leading down to go to a very dramatic big old death. Or big old, like, something. It's okay to disagree, Lexi. That's fine.
No, I hard disagree.
It's fine. And that's fine, too. I just think that I feel like it was an intentional ramping down of action and gore. Especially because of how gory this fucker's been writing this whole time. And how much detail. And then it's like, oh, he died in the water wheel. We didn't get any details on that.
How
much... We're talking about how Shivers lost his eye for puffy purple hand gloves, like, and then the guy just gets sucked into the water wheel, and that's the end of it. We don't even see anything on it. Like, there's got to be something else coming up, and I feel like one of these chapters has got to do a bunch of backstory in Benna.
Lexi, predictions?
I think Wanza's going to kill them all. I think the deaths are going to mirror the bosses. I think she's going to not die by Shank. And I think she's going to realize that Benna was fucking terrible. And then I think she's going to kill herself.
No, dark.
No, she's going to smoke a lot of husk. I think.
All right, let's wrap it up. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We are Discount Bin, and we'll be back next week with the final two parts of Best Served Cold.
Dun, dun, dun.
See ya.
Bye.
Who wants to do an intro?
Lexi hasn't done it in a while.
Okay, so since I'm recording, I can't really put the chat on my screen.
Okay, I'll do it.
Why not?
No.
What a cop out.
You can message it to me and I'll read it.
Do you not have a second screen?
I have multiple screens, however.
3 screens, and she can't figure a way to put text on it.
Okay.
Oh, I got it.
No, I got it. I can't.
You have an IT expert as a husband. Shouldn't be a problem.
You should ask him who the IT expert is between us.
Whoa, wait. Is that shots fired?
No,
Okay.
it's honest truth.
To be fair, the developers at my company are not IT experts either, like at all.
Yeah, I've had demos where we try to operate a screen and not sure which button to press.
We just moved. So my company got acquired by another company, and we just moved to new email accounts, and I messed up my Jira so bad that like it's literally unfixable. Anyway, fun fact. That happened today. I spent 3 hours trying to get on a Jira board. Couldn't do it.
Nailed it.
Yep. She finds they've already picked a new leader, Nakomo Koska. One of the other.
Costco.
Nickelodeon Costco.
Nickelodeon Costco. Perfect.